welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're on to part 6 and we're going to be doing the neck. Now I'm not quite sure if we will get the Dalmatian finished in this part or if it'll need one more part. We will see, we'll just see how we get going. Obviously we've got quite a bit of dark fur, dark white fur, which sounds strange, I know. But we do have a shadow of the white fur under here, which may take a bit longer than I anticipate. We're actually going to start by adding a shadow under this ear, because at the moment this ear just looks like it's placed on the head. It doesn't look like it's part of the same dog. So we're going to work on getting that looking correct, and then we're going to come down onto the neck. So if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you here, and we'll just get started. Everything you need for this part of the tutorial is in the description below, including links to any previous parts if you have missed it. So I've just zoomed you in so that we can see this ear, and I'm going to start with the warm grey 2. We may need to go darker than the warm grey 2, maybe to the warm grey 3 or the gold, but we'll see. And I'm just going to start by bringing out the warm grey 2 underneath this ear. Again, making sure that we're following that fur direction. And we're just building up the shadow underneath this ear. So this is just going to make it look like that shadow is from this ear, and it's because that ear is part of this dog. Obviously before we didn't have this shadow here, it wasn't dark enough. I do think I want to go a little darker. I'm just going to bring in some little details on this head as well. So this is all just about building up the colours. I probably am going to go a little darker. I think I might actually use maybe some of the gold. We'll see. Let's just build up this warm grey 2. So I was, obviously in earlier videos, I've been talking about doing a Patreon. I think I'm going to put that on hold. I've had a TikTok video go viral. And I've had a lot of inquiries about commissions, which I'm just so grateful and humbled for. But it does mean that I won't have time to do a Patreon channel, which is fine. I will still do the YouTube channel. It will definitely just be the one YouTube tutorial a month if I can fit it in. Obviously commissions are going to have to come first. So yeah, I hope you guys understand that, but I will try my best to get one tutorial out a month. Right, so we've now got the warm grey 2 there. I'm just going to take the warm grey 1. Just going to blend here. So I'm doing little pencil strokes to build up the fur texture. Okay. So I am going to take my warm grey 3. And with the warm grey 3, I'm just going to again come in and just darken this shadow, especially under here. Very small lines. And then just taper those edges out so it blends outwards. And this is just going to create that little bit of extra shadow that we want under there. Okay, so let's go onto this neck. Now we have started the neck previously, but we need to darken some of it up and just really start bringing the neck together. So I'm going back to my burnt sienna first, and we're going to really darken, this part of the throat up. So this part is obviously behind the other fold. So I'm just going to come in now and just really build up that darker line here. And then I'm going to taper those lines downwards so that the burnt sienna gets lighter as you're coming closer to the edge of this throat. I'm just going to take the Van Dyke brown as well. Just going to bring that over the top of this line just to help darken here. And then I'm going to take my cinnamon and the warm grey 1 again over the top here. A little mark there, what's that mark? It's okay. Right, and then I'm actually just going to bring the warm grey 1 all the way down this neck as a base layer. Well, I say all the way down, about halfway. Just checking I was still filming. Okay, like so, and again the burnt sienna along the edge of this throat. So my burnt sienna is nice and sharp so that I can get that nice straight line. And then again, light pressure, just going to start tapering it outwards. Okay, so I'm just going to keep bringing this burnt sienna down this throat. Okay, then I'm going to take the brown ochre and just bring that slightly down here. So obviously this dog's got some nice yellow and orange tones going on here because it's taken sort of, I'm guessing, sunset, sunrise. So that's the colours that we're capturing within this white fur. Remember, the white fur reflects what's going on around it. And then I'm going to back to the burnt sienna. I'm just going to actually resharpen this. I don't feel that point's as sharp as it could be. Okay. Just got a nice sharper point. I'm just going to bring that down. Like so. And then the cinnamon just along this edge, going over the brown ochre. And then I'm going to take the warm grey 1 again, harder pressure, and just blend. So I'm taking the warm grey 1 instead of the white because this warm grey 1 is just going to knock these colours back ever so slightly. And then you can also just use your putty eraser just to lighten it along that edge. Okay, back to that burnt sienna. I just want nice. Okay, we are going to take the warm grey 1 again and do this part of the neck. So let me sharpen that. You want a nice sharp base layer, pencil, nice sharp pencil for your base layer, so that we can really build up the colours on top. Okay, so we've got the warm grey 1 base layer. I've now got my cold grey 1, and I'm just going to go over the top of that, and I'm now going to start like focusing on this fur direction because we're going to start building up the details really nicely in this neck. So hopefully, because I won't be doing a Patreon, you guys will still support me here on YouTube. I guess it's something that I can set as a goal for 2023. You just don't expect to go viral. It's a crazy, crazy experience. Very overwhelming, but crazy, crazy experience. And then I'm going to take my white just along here where it is lighter in colour, just to help blend. Get a nice smooth blend there. So you can see we're starting to really build up the colours now. Just going to come in with my copper. Again, I'm just not happy with this neck fold, so just along here. May come together once we've got the rest of the neck in. I'll notice what's going on. Just a little bit of the copper there though. Okay, right. Then I'm going to take my brown ochre along the edge of this neck. Very, very short pencil strokes. We're not really going for a lot of detail here. We're just building up the tones and then kind of having it all out of focus, which will make it a little bit easier for us to get this piece done. Okay, so it doesn't take long at all. Get that brown ochre in very lightly, light pressure. Okay, and then I'm going to take my warm grey 2. Just going to build up some little darker grey tones. And again, I'm looking back at this reference photo, making sure that my fur is going in the correct direction. Always, always making sure it's going in that right direction. Okay. And then I've got the beige red, and again, just going to do the same. Bring in a little bit of pink, especially over that brown ochre. And then take your warm grey 1 just back over the top of this brown ochre area, just to knock it back a little bit. Okay, so hopefully you can see we're starting to nicely build up this neck. So I'm going to once again come in with the warm grey 1 base layer. I'm going to start really building up this texture and colour in this part of the neck. I do think I quite want to get a nice faded outline for her neck. I think it'll look nice. Rather than doing like the straight edges that we've been doing for some of the portraits, I think a nice faded neckline will be nice. You could always do a straight edge if you wanted. Okay, so that is the warm grey 1. Going in with my brown ochre, which is just underneath here. And I'm just going to start building up, once again, that colour underneath that ear. Ever so slightly. And I'm just going to sort of bring in the raw umber right underneath this ear. So this area I'm going to do with the raw umber. Over the top of that I'm going to take my green gold. It's a nice colour. I do quite like using the green gold. Not for everything, but every now and then. Green gold does come in use. Back to the raw umber. Make sure I get the right pencil. So if I show you the tones, you can see just how similar these tonal values are. But by swapping between them, which you don't have to do, like you could stick with the brown ochre, you could really stick with just the brown ochre, but because I'm mixing and swapping between them, I'm getting nice subtle changes. Very, very subtle, which is why you don't necessarily have to do this. It's just, I just love it. The way that you just look at a portrait and there's these little subtle changes in the colours. We're just going to make sure we're getting a nice straight edge around that ear. There we go. And then back to my brown ochre. Coming around here. So I'm doing kind of like very soft lines, almost with a little curve to them. Remember, it's curving round the neck. Just going to bring that all the way up here. Okay, right, let's darken here. So I'm going back, keeping the brown ochre. I'm just going to... So even though this is white fur, we're injecting some really nice tonal qualities into this fur. It's really going to help make it pop. And I'm keeping this brown ochre along the bottom here. Again, making sure I'm constantly checking that fur direction. Going to the raw umber. And then I'm just going to take the warm grey 2 along the edge here. This is just going to blend nicely the warm grey tones into that brown ochre and raw umber tones. I'm just going to go over this shadow as well with a warm grey 2. Actually, I quite like how that warm grey 2 mixes, so I'm going to keep the warm grey 2, and I'm going to go over all of this brown ochre and raw umber mixture. Pressing a little harder just to build up that grey tone and to help with the blending. So we're almost burnishing again with the warm grey 2. And then we're going to blend that warm grey 2 outwards here. So yeah, this bit is taking a little bit of time, but it's so worth it. Taking that extra bit of time to build it all up. Okay, now we're sort of coming up and around this ear at the moment, and we have a black spot here, so I'm going to get this black spot in first. So I am going to add a base layer, and it is warm grey 1 as usual. And then I'm going to use my Nougat. I just want a little bit of a brownish tone, because we've got these brown tones here because of the lighting. So I'm just bringing in that Nougat. And then I'm getting the black, and I'm actually going to use circular motions. Now the reason I'm using circular motions is, one, we need this straight edge of this ear, but this spot is definitely out of focus. So we don't want any fur lines, and by doing these circular motions, it's going to give us a nice smooth look. And we're not going to get any of this like extra little fur detailing like we've done in the spots on the face and the ear. And I'm just going to press a little harder just to really build up some of this colour. Okay, so that's the little neck spot. And now going back to our warm grey 1, and we're just going to build up base layer sort of around this spot for now, just while we're really starting to build this up nicely. Now we have a really sharp edge here, so we're going to make sure that we get that sharp edge in. So sharp pencil, which I definitely do not have. My warm grey 1's not staying very sharp for long actually. What's going on? Right, so sharp edge, and then I'm going to bring this all the way down here. I'm going to sort of blend into that edge of that spot, because we don't want it to be too sharp an edge. We want it to look nice and soft. So you can go over with your warm grey one and just push that pigment and just blend it a little bit. Right, so underneath here I'm going to take the burnt sienna. Very lightly, I'm not pressing hard at all. Okay, so you can see just how light that was. Then I'm going to take the Bistre, go over the top of that. And again, I'm still following the fur direction. Light layers. To really build up the colours in this neck. And I'm just going to go back over with a burnt sienna. So I'm just light layers, just slowly building up the colour, rather than going in and pressing too hard, because I still want these colours to be subtle. Bistre again, going over this area that we've already got. And then I'm just going to take that green gold, just blend it into here a little bit more. And then we'll go in with the warm grey too, over the top. Harder pressure and blending. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. That's looking good. Right, so we've got the other side of the spot to do. So back to the burnt sienna, and the fur's curving upwards, so we're just going to get that nice curve. And then the Bistre. And then back over with the warm grey too. Like so. So you can see just how quick it has been to build this up, and we're getting some really nice colours now coming through this neck. Right, let's get this side of the neck in, where we've got some darker spots. To draw these black spots, I'll just move those pencils. So I'm going to map out the shape of the first black spot, once again with the warm grey one. Making sure we get a nice sharp edge along that ear. And I'm just mapping in the shape of this spot. I'm not worried about details, I'm not worried about the white fur, I just want the shape of this white spot. Black spot, sorry. Colours. Okay, that's the black spot. And then just going to go straight over that with the black. I'm going to press fairly hard now. And this will probably show us that we need to darken some of this ear up, but we can do all this when we come to doing like finishing touches, anything like that. Just going to press really, really hard. So I'm really making sure I'm getting this pigment down. I want that nice sharp edge. Okay, getting there, getting there. So you really want to get all that pigment down. You want this spot to be black, and you can see now we've got this really dark black spot. We do need to darken this ear up, but we'll do that finishing touches. I think I will. We'll do part of this neck, and then we'll come back and do the fading edge and the finishing touches. Because there's no point rushing. We don't need to rush. We can just take our time, build it up slowly. Right, that's one spot in. Let's do the other spot. So once again, you want your warm grey one, and where on earth have I put my warm grey one? Right, found my warm grey one. So just mapping in these 2 black spots again on this neck. I think, yeah, they're definitely black. Making sure that they don't like maybe a Paynes Grey, but they're definitely black. So base layer of the warm grey one. I actually think I might put a little bit of Nougat in these 2 because they've got little brown edges around the spots, so we're going to do that. So go to the little spots and then go to the Nougat. And then back to our black, over the black. You can see I've just pressed harder now with this black, just to really build up the colour. You can see we just need to go so much darker with these spots. Even this spot can go darker. So a lot of these black spots in our Dalmatian, we're going to make a lot darker. Okay, right. Now we're going to take our coal grey one. Nice sharp pencil. So once again, I need to sharpen because I am not prepared. And we're just going to apply the warm grey one as a base layer first of all. Just erase that bit of graphite. And I'm coming down with the warm grey, coal grey one, sorry. It's because I'm so used to using the warm grey one. And I'm being very careful as I come up to that edge of the spot. We've got a fairly sharp edge. We are going to blend it in a minute, but I just want to be careful. And I'm pressing fairly hard with the coal grey one here. Remember, we've still got a bit of a shadow because we've got the ear in front of this neck. And I'm going to bring it down to about here with the coal grey one. Then getting my warm grey one and going over the top of all of that coal grey one. Again, pressing fairly hard. Definitely want to go in and darken that ear. So I'm now dragging some of that pigment down with the warm grey one. Just softening the edges of these spots as you're going over. So I don't mind if you're getting a bit of smudgy pigment, that's completely fine. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to bring this warm grey one down here as well. Okay, and then the warm grey one. Probably just below here as well. Just so we've got a bit of pigment. I'm going over this warm grey one with the coal grey one, just to help neutralise that colour. Then I'm going to take my white over the top of all this, where it's the white fur. And you can see we've not really focused on any detail. We don't want detail, we just want this to look smooth. So if yours isn't looking smooth, either your pencil's not sharp enough, or you're applying different pressure instead of the same pressure. Right, I think because we've got these spots in, I want to get the next spot in. Let's move her up a little bit. Just because it makes it easy when we're coming to work on all this white fur, we know our spots in. So I'm just gonna sharpen this again. So 1 grade 1, just where that spot is, so making sure I'm really getting the shape more or less correct. Doesn't matter if it's not accurate, no one's going to see the reference photo, not unless you're following along. Okay, and then taking my Nougat again because we're on the warmer side. And then we'll go in again with the black. So yeah, we definitely need to darken up those spots on the face, which is actually, it's a good thing. It shows how, like, sometimes you do a piece, this is the black now, you do a piece and as you go in and you go straight in with your black, now I'm looking and going, okay, actually, yeah, maybe we have done them a little too light. But I'd rather have a piece be too light than, oh no, we've gone too dark and we can't do anything about it. At least when you need to go darker in an area, you can go darker. Again, I'm not really focusing on much detail, but I am making sure it goes in the fur direction. So we're curving around this neck a little bit. And then this is a harsher edge. What that noise was. Obviously knocking something as I'm drawing. Okay. So we've got a nice black spot in. Right, so we've got that spot in, so now we need to just keep going with the neck. So I'm going to once again do it section by section. So we're going to start, I'm just trying to work out where I want to do this. I think I want to do this section here, which is a weird section to start in, I know, but I've just drawn to doing this bit, so I think it's because it's a nice transition point between the two areas, so we're just going to do that. So warm grey 1 as a base layer. Okay, now I'm going to take the brown ochre over the top of this base layer, and again following that fur direction. You can see I'm using very light pressure just to cover this base layer. Then taking the raw umber over some of this brown ochre. Just gives it a little bit more depth to the fur here, like it's reflecting a bit more light. And then I also want to take my Bistre. It's coming down here and just blend this Bistre outwards. A little bit down there, like so. Then taking my warm grey 2 just over the top of all of this again. Making sure that I'm still following the fur direction here with these pencil strokes especially. Blend a little bit, soften the edges of that little spot. And then I can see now I just need to come back over a little bit, so light pressure, just a little bit here with the brown ochre. Okay, like so. Okay, back in with our warm grey 1 as a base layer, and we do have a bit of a gap here, so I'm going to make sure that I'm bringing it up, but I'm leaving this gap where we've got the a lighter bit of the fur on this neck showing, and we're just going to again follow the fur direction. So hopefully you're seeing just all of the colours that can go into white fur, especially when it's in a photo like this Dalmatian. So many colours. Right, I'm just going to lighten that bit of graphite. A bit of graphite there that I don't want. And then I can just really bring warm grey, create a sharper edge there. Okay, right, so first of all, taking my raw umber. I'm going to start with the raw umber this time. Along that edge of the fur, just bringing it down, coming a bit down here. And then just blending that. So I'll taper my strokes to blend it outwards. Like so. Then going back to my brown ochre. Going over some of the raw umber, but not right up to the edge. Yeah, just sorry, looking at my reference photo. If I go a bit quiet and I don't draw, I'm generally analysing the photo, just seeing what kind of colours I can see. Then the Bistre, especially just to start blending down there a little bit. Right, I'm then going to take the cinnamon, which I think I'm just going to bring the brown ochre across all of this. It goes a bit pinkier as we come further down the neck, but this area I think we're just going to stick to the brown ochre. And then we can fade it and blend it into that pinkish tone. So that's the brown ochre. I am going to take just a very light layer along this edge of the beige red. Barely see it. It's just going to start giving you that hint that we are going into a pinkish tone. And then I've got the gold. I'm just going to start coming in over the top of this brown ochre and raw umber. Making sure I'm still following that fur direction. And then I'm going to take the warm grey 2 and just blend again. So harder pressure with the warm grey 2. Still following the fur direction. Like so. Right, we're getting there. We are slowly getting there. Just going to take the coal grey one along here. And then I'm going to take the white over the top of that. Okay, while we're still in this area, I'm just going to sharpen the black. I'm just going to darken some of this ear up. I probably will end up darkening a lot of the ear eventually, but just want to get some of this darkened up now. So I'm going to use really hard pressure. Just really get these black areas dark. And then we'll go in with the Paynes Grey and just really darken up the other areas as well. Which I'm blending outwards. So your ear on your Dalmatian might be dark enough, but mine's not quite dark enough in areas. So if you've got the Derwent Drawing Black, this would be a good time for the Derwent Drawing Black. The Derwent Drawing Black is a really deep black. It would be perfect for these spots. You would obviously need a very sharp point on it. It's a very soft pencil, so you would have to make sure it's very sharp. You'd use that one a bit lighter than we are with the Polychromos Black. Can you see already how we've already got a difference to this ear? It's amazing what it does. Just a little bit of detail. Okay, so going in with the black, I am just going to grab my Paynes Grey. And with the Paynes Grey, I'm just going to go over some of this and just darken, especially the edge of this ear. We are going to come in with some white hairs later on to just really give some more definition to this ear, but just want to get those tonal values correct. And because we got these dark spots in, I could see that this ear just was not dark enough. I'm not going to totally darken it because I can do all these finishing touches at the end, and I think as well once we get some of these white hairs in on the ear, it's really going to help lift the piece as well. Just bringing in a little bit of darker colours here and there, and then the warm grey 6 again just to help deepen the colours. It's not a lot, it's just to give that little bit of lift to the piece. Just making sure that these edges of this ear is nice and sharp. Okay, I am happier with that now. Right, let's get going again. So the warm grey 1. And I'm going to bring the warm grey 1 down to where we've got the top of this spot starting to appear. And just making sure I'm following the shape of that fur. I haven't sharpened my pencil yet, so I'm just going to follow the shape. And now I'm going to sharpen my pencil again. And then just going to come in with the warm grey 1 again as our base layer. And yep, down here, just making sure. I'm just going to fill in all this section with this warm grey 1. So, right. Then I am going to take my cinnamon. I'm going to start bringing in some of the pinkish tones. along this neck. So very lightly, I'm not pressing hard, just going to do light pressure along here. And then I'm going to take my brown ochre and I'm going to blend these two different colours together in a minute. And the cinnamon again, so I'm just tapering those edges off so that they blend seamlessly together. And then I'm going to get my gold. Just going over these colours now. Then I'm going to take the warm grey one over the top. I keep meaning to take this piece of paper down. Oops. Just smoothing out in areas that just see need smoothing out a bit. Just going to take the white. Let's do that with the white. Let's burnish these areas. The white's going to really help here. I may have to darken some of this up, but I just want some tonal colours in, and then I can have a look at the piece as a whole, see if I want my piece to be as dark as it is in the reference photo. Taking the beige red. Over there, okay. And then the cinnamon again, coming down the edge. Into Ochre one. And then I'm going to take the white. Once again, just really push that pigment into the paper. Okay, so you can see we're getting some really nice colours going on here. Going back to my cinnamon, just gonna drag some of this cinnamon very lightly, just tapering it into that warm grey section. Got a bit of a harsh line here, just want a bit of a softer line. Just move piece of paper. Is that still in focus? It is. I'm remembering. And then the warm grey 2 just to blend. Let me just sharpen this. I'm going to use the warm grey 2 to blend and just create a few little hair strokes. Don't want loads, just a few. And then you can go back over with the white just to help push. I'm still not happy, I've got that harsh line, so I'm going to get my slice tool and I'm just going to take away some of the pigment, just where it's a little bit harsh here. That looks better. Okay, right, let's get this other little bit of the throat in. So the warm grey 1 again. Let me just lift that graphite. Oops, don't drop your pencils. That's why I've got a black mark here. Don't worry if you don't have a little black mark. I dropped a pencil. It'll look like a little spot on my drawing, but don't worry about it for yours. Come down here. So warm grey 1 is the base layer. And then at this edge, I'm just going to take the white along this edge, really soften it so that it fades out into that paper. That's a really nice effect if you do that with your white. And then I'm going to take the burnt sienna again, I'm going to start to really darken some of this up. Burnt sienna first of all, right down here. And the Bistre. Back to this burnt sienna. And the brown ochre. Just layering up on top of each other, that's all we're doing. We're just creating layers to create a nice golden colour. And then the cinnamon just along this edge, fading that outwards. And then I'm going to take, oh, try not to drop pencils. Don't know why I'm dropping lots of pencils today. 1 grey 2 over the top of all of this. You can see how it's just really smoothing and blending, smudging these colours together nicely. And I'm just going to bring that up here as well. Okay, right. I'm going to take my burnt sienna. Just going to really darken this line. So I'm using the sharpest point of my pencil. I'm really getting a nice sharp line there. So I know we wanted soft lines before, but it's quite a sharp line there. And along here. Nice sharp edge. Blending that outwards. So take my warm grey 1. Like so. Right, I just want to darken up here. I'm going to get my Bistre this time. Oops. Just going to darken here. Blend it outwards. So when I say I'm blending outwards, tapering that stroke, so lighter pressure as you get into where you want it to blend nicely into the other colours. And then the white. Okay, that looks better. That does look better. So I can see I do need to darken some other areas. So I'm going to come in with my Bistre. Just very lightly, just going to start building up that colour here. A little bit in there. Just gonna... I'm just glazing. So here I'm not lifting the pencil off the paper. I'm just glazing some colour on top of this shadow there. Just to help darken that. I'm just going to bring a little bit of the Bistre in there. And then get the warm grey 1. Following that fur direction just to help with that blend. So you can see we've got a really nice start to the neck and the ears and everything. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. Let me just grab my slice tool. So we do have some whiskers here. I'm just going to see if we've got enough layers down for these whiskers. Don't think you can really see them. I think we are going to need to use the brush and pencil stuff. See, I've marked them in. Let me just sharpen my white. So I have marked them in with my slice tool. These you could have done with your indenting tool. Just going to sharpen that white. And I'm just going to go hard pressure where these whiskers are. Like so. Okay. Right, I think I'm actually going to leave this part here. I want the next part to focus on fading out this bottom part of the neck. and final details like darkening up these spots. So let me zoom you out. Okay, so hopefully here you can see now we're getting a nice neck coming in. As we come down here, this cold grey, warm grey mixture is going to blend nicely into this neck. At the moment it does look separate. It's going to start blending really nicely when we start bringing in this faded collar and line out. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this part of the tutorial. If you've got any questions, do leave them down below.